All right, Pisces, it's all about creating your own happiness, but you're going to have to be willing to be giving of yourself in order to create that happiness. But for a lot of you, it may be like, I don't want to give anymore, considering where you have come from and what your experience is right now. So manage to be glad, create your own happiness regardless of conditions, and then exchanging gifts. Manage to be glad is something that I preach about all the time. Your happiness is in your own hands. You are responsible for creating your experiences. But this can be difficult considering that conditions may not be that good. So it says your happiness is in your own hands. It is something which can be managed, nurtured, and grown. Acknowledgement that life can be very difficult and challenging, but you are being asked to grow the happiness you long for out of your magical will and desire to feel joy once again. But when you look at that with exchanging gifts, like I said, you're only going to get out of something what you put into it. So this one is about the law of giving and receiving, currency, trade-offs, weighing costs, and determining value. But it's saying that there's going to be all kinds of opportunities that are going to open up for you, but you're going to have to be willing to give something of yourself in order to receive that happiness. But again, considering the conditions you may have come from, you may be wishing for something where you're not going to be able to pay the cost. It's like wishing for something that you think you want, but then not being able to maintain it because it doesn't really truly bring you the happiness that you're wanting. And you don't want to wish for something that is going to fail you again. But that is only happening because, like I said, for some of you, it is the environment that you're in, the conditions that you're coming from. But you are responsible for creating your happiness, but you're going to have to be willing to give of yourself, even though you may be looking at it going, I can't. There is nothing else that I could possibly give. But it's about your own happiness right now, and you realizing that you have the ability to create what you are longing for. Now, I think that is tying into with this. So going dark, bright in a cage, the moon phase here is the waning crescent, and the stage is denial. It says tomorrow will be the right moment. Tomorrow will be better, even if today is hell. The sentence says, did we die waiting for the perfect day, or were we never alive? This is another thing that we tend to all do. We look at the things that we want and we think someday. If you continue to think someday, it will always be someday. You're always pushing it off further and further into the future. If you want it now, you have to think about right now, the feelings of having it right now. That is what creates it in your life. But for some of you, it's going to be about perfection though too. It's not quite right just yet. And it's about accepting that things are never going to be exactly perfect. So now going dark, it says, when we put the good of our life just in our expectations, we can dismiss the present, waiting for the dawn we know will arrive. The future becomes a shopping cart. It needs a bit of this, a bit of that, a few kilograms of that, and also a couple of boxes of another this. When we look at it, it shines like a brand new day in a commercial. And as it happens with commercials, when the future comes, it's not exactly perfect. The smile is forced, the day is too hot or too cold, the kiss is dry, the lion limps softly and doesn't roar. As long as something is not here, but is pushed further along the timeline, we have the luxury to take it off of reality and treat it as a fantasy. We push forward and we push forward until we actually catch up with our dream, and then we crush. The future should not feel like a cage, not even a gilded, wonderful, handmade designer cage. The future is a tree, gnarled, rough to the touch, full of flowers only in spring, dense and damp through the rain, absolutely imperfect. So stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop doing that. Because it's never going to be that way. You know, life is a mess. But don't have expectations towards the things that you're wanting though either. All right, Pisces, here's your overall. The 10 of Wands. I always hate that when that's the overall. A lot of times I'll be like, oh, we got to shut it down. Yeah, there's too much. There's way too much. But because it's a general reading, like I said before, you know, we'll continue with this. And that was something that I was taught way back when I was young, fucking well over 24 years ago. Good Christ, I'm old. Anyway, the 10 of Wands. This being the overall is talking about the heavy burden that you're carrying. And one of the things that I talk about with the Ten of Wands is when you look at the image, a lot of times it's showing somebody who is carrying this heavy load, but they're reaching a destination. So sometimes we feel like we can't drop that until we have gotten to that point. But how long is it going to take you to get to that point? Or is this about, the burdens that you're carrying that you need to drop right now? Are you taking on too much responsibility? Are you carrying somebody else's burdens? Right? Okay. And that may be a lot of, what you're still kind of like holding on to. And you may feel like it's your responsibility to continue to hold on to that. The Five of Cups in the past, again, we're talking about feeling like you're on your own island, lost in the pain. So being disappointed, being let down, dealing with emotional suffering. And with the Ten of Wands, it's not a good thing. In the present moment, the Page of Pentacles, and that's what kind of bothers me about this, because I look at this, first of all, as a new opportunity, and not only that, but learning from your experiences, but using it in a practical way toward rebuilding, restarting. To me, this is starting at the bottom, getting something started. So with the Page of Pentacles, and this could definitely have to do with communication that may help you on a new path, but as long as you're carrying the burdens of the past and that emotional pain, how can you possibly, put in the effort here to start again, or to take a new opportunity to build towards something that is realistic and practical for you, right? Future conditions, the Seven of Wands. And I like this because to me, I feel like you're going to get pushed to the point where it's time for you to start standing up for yourself and start fighting for what is important for you, right? This is what I won't deal with anymore. I'm not going to do this to myself anymore. Fighting off the opposition, but also feeling like everything is opposing you, which can definitely be the case with the Ten of Wands being there. But I'd like to see this as you finally getting pushed to the point where, you are learning now through the emotional pain, no longer willing to bear that burden and fighting for yourself and what is important to you. Your best path to follow, the Eight of Swords. Get those fucking thoughts out of your head. Stop doing that to yourself. And I always point out the horns here because those thoughts are the damn devil. So you need to stop making excuses. And I hate to put it that way, but I'm just going to be honest with you. Stop making excuses as to why things cannot move forward. You have to get rid of those thoughts that are stopping you from, seeing what you want right now. Stop going through, the things in your mind that are telling you that there is no way to move forward, because that's what you're doing to yourself. I love this Eight of Swords because it brings up the feeling of stepping into the Nine of Swords, but then it also shows the negative part of it with the devil kind of being attached. And it's understandable though. And that's the thing. Like, I get the perspective, especially for those of you who are coming from a very emotionally difficult place. It would make sense that your thoughts are, I can't expect any better. So what is the point? But that is you creating situations that are keeping you stuck. Wow, Pisces, the hell. I'm telling you, I'm fucking telling you, in your environment, the devil. And look at it, But like I said, I'm hopeful here with the Seven of Wands. It's like getting a kick in the ass, and even though you feel like everything is just opposing you, you finally stand up and go, fuck off, fuck no. But the devil being in your environment, attached to the Page of Pentacles, is all the negative things that you're attaching yourself to that is preventing you from, first of all, learning through the experience here, but taking that knowledge to build something better. But it's all tied to the past and the past burdens that you continue to carry with you that are not going to help you. Where is that destination for you? Where do you finally get to that point where you're like, I'm done with it? Instead of focusing on what you are carrying I think for a lot of you, it's where is this destination? Because what you have in the present moment is by far better than the negative attachments that are holding you back and stripping you of hope. Your hopes and your fears, the Three of Pentacles. And here's the thing, I feel a little bit iffy about this because of the position that it's in and considering where you're coming from. With the Three of Pentacles, absolutely here, this could be about using your magic to start working toward what you are wanting to create once you release this crap. All of it. But the Three of Pentacles can also suggest in this position that some of you are looking at a past situation going, can I still make it work? And that I worry about just a little bit. You know, the Three of Pentacles is about using your skills and your talents here to start working toward something that is going to benefit you in the long run, showing off what you're able to do. And you have that opportunity right there with the Page of Pentacles. This could very simply come down to you being trapped in a job where you're just taking on way too much. And it's not worth it, especially if you're constantly having to fight to keep your position. I mean, it can very simply come down to that. But you know me, things are so much deeper than that. So I worry about the Three of Pentacles a little bit. You know, I would say to you, based on, you know, what I'm looking at here, that you don't need to put your focus and attention into trying to restart something that was, you know, emotionally disappointing and that you may be keeping yourself chained to. Because that's not fair to you. And it's going to keep you stuck and unable to move forward. You know, rather than doing that, you need to look at, you know, where you can use your skills and your talents to build something that is going to benefit you. And then coming out, the Chariot. And with the Seven of Wands, you know, like I said, I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that this may have been, you know, how you felt about your past experience and what you may still be kind of dealing with. But when you look at it in terms of future conditions, absolutely, this could be about you finally getting to that destination, especially with the Chariot being there. For some of you, it's literally needing to physically move, to travel, you know, a great distance here to something else. Or it's about self-control and the willpower to get momentum going in your life and getting control over the opposing forces, the black and the white horse, right? But I still love the magic carpet here, you know, and turning away from all of the illusions. Instead, seeing the light that's being cast in front of you that's going to help you get that momentum going. But you got to be willing to stand up for yourself. And then the Five of Pentacles, I see. All right, so first of all, this is about you getting momentum, picking up the pace, needing to go somewhere else, needing to physically move, and it's very specifically getting away from the past, but needing to act immediately, regardless of what you feel like you're going to be stripped from or what is going to be stripped from you. So the Six of Cups, these are the places you've already been. And this is really about you needing to get away from that past disappointment, the past regret, the emotions that are keeping you tied down. Now, looking at the Knight of Pentacles, though, you know, I do think that action and immediate action is necessary, but this is going to be slow moving, right? Things are going to progress in a way that eventually is going to get you to that destination, right? But it is slow and steady progress as long as you stick to the plans that you have here. You know, you will start to see the benefits. But the thing is things may be moving slowly right now and you're not able to take advantage of opportunities because of the devil in your environment, the negative things that you're attaching yourself to. Now, after that, though, with the Five of Pentacles, and that may be where, you know, it's not that easy for you to just, you know, quickly pick up and move. But I still feel like that's what's needed rather than it being the Knight of Pentacles. But as long as there's progress, it's better than not having a knight there at all. But when you look at the Five of Pentacles, this could definitely be about you needing to reject what is no longer benefiting you. And you may be leaving a situation empty-handed here, and you may, in some cases, it may be about, you know, financial strain. It's going to cost you a little bit. But like I said, right, exchanging gifts. You may have to give a part of yourself that you feel like you don't have right now And you may feel like you have nothing left with that Five of Pentacles, but I still see that Seven of Wands and the Chariot as a good thing coming out. You know, I feel like you're working toward getting past that and no longer being in a place where you don't feel like you have anything, like you've had everything stripped from you. But it all depends on the willpower and the self-control, especially with the Devil being in your environment. But like I said, for some of you, it could literally be, I need to move. I need to move right now. I need to go that distance. I need to get to that destination. I need to do it right now. Oh, and birth. Wow. Now, in this case, I mean, you don't really have anything indicating that there's going to be an actual birth. But for those of you who are having babies, congratulations. But release. I mean, that goes without saying, right? You need to release that shit. Release it. You're going to have to take a risk, but that risk may be preventing you from releasing the things that you need to in order to have a new life with birth, a brand new life, right? But you're going to have to take that risk. But it's all going back to what it is you need to release, you know, which again is directly tied to the Devil and that Five of Cups. And then protected by angels. You are cherished by angels. My God, if I could talk. I promise I can talk and I can read. But this is good. Expect there to be miracles in your life. Expect that and you will see it. But also know that you are being protected through this, even though the Devil may have a hold on you right now. I feel good about it coming out, and I do feel like something's going to happen where you're going to be pushed to fight for yourself, to stand up for yourself, despite the fact that you may feel like everything is working against you. You know, you have the ability to tap into that willpower and that self-control and get away from that Devil, get away from those situations and people who disappoint you and let you down. You know, you are by far more important than staying in a situation that you may feel comfortable with the Devil, because that's also part of that. But, you know, don't expect to try to make a past situation work out. And again, that Three of Pentacles and looking at the Six of Cups, you've already been here. You don't need to go back to this. I do think that there needs to be a little bit more action. But, you know, I can understand with the Five of Pentacles if you feel like you're leaving a situation empty-handed, right? But surely you're eventually going to get to that point as long as you make the movement now where you won't feel like you have been rejected, cast out, or that you're missing things from your life or that things are being taken from you.